Right, now, Unit 4, wider professional practice in development in education and training. Learning objective 1 and 2 only have 2 assessment criteria. LO3 has 4. LO4 has 2. And LO5, which is the last one, has 4 as well. Yeah. You can see there's an awful lot of writing in the corner here, which I've added to this. So what we'll do is I will go through that bit by bit.
Okay. And
initially we'll look at define the concept of professionalism and dual professionalism, which we looked at last week, didn't we? Yeah?
Yeah.
Briefly. And is that what you've sent me? Are these the ones you've sent me?
No, I've sent you LO4 for Unit 3, and I'm doing LO5.
Right. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's great then, because, as I said, you've got Units LO1 and 2 for Unit 3 well correct. They were done and signed off, yeah?
Yeah.
So, again, the rest of the assessment criteria and the learning objectives in that unit are identical. They're just a different subject. But the work you've got to do is absolutely identical. So once you've got it on the first, on LO2, it's a straightforward operation after that. Yeah, straight through. Yeah. So there shouldn't be a problem with that. And if there is, it'll be something very minor that just wants tidying up or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll swing into LO1 and 2 on this unit, which is your next one on. So this is looking at the concept of professionalism, how you act, how you operate as a teacher, and the standards you apply to yourself as much as anything else, and where you have come from, or where teachers have come from a different background. Whatever that background may be, they will have brought with them also a professionalism from the work they did before. Now, the two are not in contest. They marry each other pretty well, because in any profession, the standards you apply to yourself, as well as the ones you need to adopt to actually operate, are very similar. And it's those concepts of questioning what you do, yeah? Looking at what you do, looking for ways to improve what you do, and the way that you actually conduct yourself in the actual classroom. So those are the things to look at on there. There are, in chapter 28 of the ebook, Teaching and Learning in Higher Education, this assignment, also explain to your response in 1.1 with an example from your own area of teaching. So it's define the concepts of professionalism and dual professionalism in education and training, and explain ways in which professional values influence your own practice in your own area of specialism. And LO2 is looking at the policy context of education and training to explain ways in which social, political, economic factors influence educational policy, and then analyse the impact of current educational policies on curriculum and practice in your own area of specialism. Now, there is plenty of material on the VLE for this, but I've also put in some ideas to look at school policies, explain how curriculum development impacts your area of teaching, also the local education authority and national policies, economics and social factors. Example, starting a new course or training programme, what are the impacts on teaching and the resource requirements that are going to be there for that particular programme that you're going to run. Now, those are two ways to look at that. What I have done is I'll look at where have you gone? This one as well. So this is always worth reading through. I'd usually brush over this, but on this one it's important actually. So it's the aim of this unit is to enable the learner to understand and apply concepts of professionalism and dual professionalism in order to promote a wider professional practice. It's based on an understanding of those professional values that I've just been waffling on about there for a few minutes, and the learner will be able to appreciate the influences on their practice in an area of specialism, determining your role and responsibilities. The unit gives learners the opportunity to develop that understanding of the social, political and economic factors that influence policy and the impact that that policy has on the curriculum and practice. The unit also encourages learners to explore the impact of organisational processes and procedures, including those resulting from increased accountability to stakeholders and external bodies. Some of that is theoretical for any teachers that are in sub-16 teaching, yeah. Nowadays, some of the sixth forms are getting involved with employers and companies and so forth, so that is changing slightly. But usually that was the area of people teaching in higher education, further education, and higher education come to that, where you were directly involved with schemes like apprenticeship programs, that sort of thing, where the two had to marry together. The academic work that was done in college, and even some of in terms of apprenticeships, the skills work that was done, the basic skills work that was done in college, where that married up to what was actually being taught in the workplace, where they were, the company that they were working in was an apprentice. Yeah. So it's developing an understanding in the need for and ways of contributing to quality assurance and quality improvement and arrangements of an organisation. So that's, like I said, it's also part of your own professionalism and the way you actually work yourself in the context of where you work. Most organisations will have well, saying most, all these days, we'll have a quality assurance person who is responsible for the overall responsibility for the quality of what's being produced in that particular school, yeah. And they will have documentation in place, they will have procedures that they go through, talk about ones that you've been involved with, yeah. And there are also plenty of ideas on here actually for fulfilling that as well. On the one hand, I look at this unit in two ways. One is it's essential that learners develop an understanding for the need for ways of contributing. On the other hand, this course demands that people are in a teaching position or have experience of a teaching position to actually complete the requirements of the course. Now, most of you will have already developed an understanding of the need for ways of contributing and the way that you do contribute to the process. So it's a bit of an ambivalence there in terms of what it's looking at. The unit gives learners the opportunity to address the need for evaluating and improving their own practice by identifying opportunities for personal and professional development, which you've actually just done at the end of Unit 3, yeah?
Yeah, so it would be LO5, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Almost identical.
Yeah.
So, again, there are no essential resources for this unit. As with other units, it's recommended that practice to relate knowledge and understanding with practical experience. The unit provides evidence that is supported by practice, which contributes to the overall 100 hours requirement for teaching practice. And that is if you've got or you're in a position to gather documentation, yeah, it's a matter of producing the documentation and explaining how it works, yeah. Sometimes that can be not exactly clear to you where you work, and that's why I said that there is usually a nominated quality person. Have a chat with them, yeah. Just have a chat with them, because they can probably fill in the details that you need, just make a few notes, and that will complete what's required, yeah.
So you know, when I was working at Hampstead Hill, basically we created a policy for SEN. Yeah, yeah. And I told the person who was writing all the content up for the website what we do. Yeah. So I could use that SEN policy documentation, couldn't I?
Exactly, yeah, yeah. So
I can basically pull that off the web.
Yeah. For this unit amplification, it's professionalism, autonomy, codes of conduct, roles and responsibilities, concepts of leadership, national bodies, national professional standards, and professional recognition, higher qualifications. This is why most teachers are looking to get QTS or QTLS at the end of this course, because that is then professional recognition, yeah?
Yeah.
And again, the only bit for this is tutor presentation plus any reading matter that's relevant and hard copy or internet based, yeah? Case studies in your own area of specialism for 1.2, which is explaining ways in which your own professional values influence your own practice in your area of specialism. So that's the impact of professional values, meeting organisational policies and procedures, audits of competence, even where you say meeting organisational policies, sometimes you may have got involved in that as well, putting those policies together and making sure that what is actually happening on the ground is what you're saying you do. Or put it the other way around, is what you say you're going to do, it actually happens on a day-to-day basis. It's put into practice, not just a dusty document that's there for inspection purposes. So it's promoting the quality in teaching and learning, expectation of high standards, establishing and sharing best practice, updating your own specialist knowledge and skills, and working to current awarding of organisation requirements, targets for raising personal professional standards, CPD, and engaging any of those CPD opportunities in improving professional qualifications. One of the actions that I perform as quality manager is to observe teachers, and that can lead to opportunities for CPD for them. If after I've observed them several times and there are areas which could be improved by a qualification or a course that would improve a particular area of competence, then it's my job to make sure that the management know about that, and then they can arrange for that to happen. So that it follows the cycle, if you like, the old training cycle: observe, plan, do, reflect. Yeah. So, as I said, there's quite a bit in this, so I'm not going to go into LO2 at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of, let's pull that back. The books on here, I've got come on. This is a bit slow, I know it's what you say. It's a bit slower tonight somehow. Oh, do you want up? Hello. I'd already unlocked it as well. Ben's here. Hi Ben, are you there? He's not on audio yet. A quick look on here. No, he's not on audio yet. He's here, but he's not on audio. Give him a minute, I'll make a start with this. He can probably see me anyway. Learn Objective 1, part of that is looking at CPD. Your peers may share activities and resources that they find effective in teaching. Consider how this knowledge could benefit you. There's a CPD form actually on here, so actually complete that for yourself and put it into your file. It may be that there are things on there that you could think, oh, I could do with that. Hi Ben, are you there?
Hi.
Superb. Oh, I've got you.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, don't worry.
It wouldn't connect.
Oh, right. Okay. Right, well, I've really just gone on the outline of Unit 4 now. I'm looking at learning Objective 1 and 2, yeah?
Yeah.
we had a quick look at those last week. I've just gone over that now.
No problem.
This is learning objective 1. So it's looking at defining, oops, stop jumping about. Define professionalism, dual professionalism, linked to celebrating and valuing equality and diversity in practice, identifying relevant legislation that's linked to equality and diversity, and identifying verbal and non-verbal communication strategies that contribute to how you promote equality and diversity and value diversity, and analyse the benefits of good practice for your learners. Be a pro, what does that mean? And it's like I said to Deepa just before you came on, again, you're another example like me. You came from a different background altogether. Teaching is a secondary professionalism, if you like.
Yeah.
And it was making the point that professionalism doesn't clash. If you're working to professional standards in another area, then that will marry very well into the professionalism in teaching, because the same standards apply. If you are providing any sort of service in what you've done before, be that a paper service or whether it's actually a practical service, you will have standards that you've looked at. You will understand the reflective process, whether you did good or whether you did not do good on there, and you will probably be your own worst critic. Yeah, most teachers I know are their own worst critic. As I said, I was just saying before we came on, I do teacher observations on a fairly regular basis, and those are to identify if there are any CPD opportunities there that one of the teachers I've observed may benefit from, and then as quality manager, it's my job to put that through to management and say, we need to provide this for this particular teacher. It will improve this, blah, 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 basically. And that aspect of professionalism is that they will then say, yeah, I want to do that, because if it's going to improve, it's going to improve, rather than putting barriers up, because a lot of teachers feel, let's say, stressed or uncomfortable when they're being observed. It's because I think the observer doesn't really take the person through the process before they do the observation. Yeah?
Yeah.
If you remember, Ben, it might be a long time ago now, when I came into the music school, when I did those observations with you, I went through the paper with you first, didn't I?
Yeah, you spoke to me first.
All the detail of what
and then we did it. And then we spoke after as well.
Yeah. And then just went through the process, yeah. So that's the important part with observations. It's being professional on both sides. It's being professional in terms of the people that you deal with, so that you get the best out of them, really, as a manager, and being supportive to them for whatever turns out that they need. So it's holding and applying a set of values, a moral compass, but it's less tangible than that. It's how you actually operate yourself personally. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the word before. It is. It's personal integrity as much as anything else. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Professional with a specialism, whilst at the same time being a professional teacher. The double professional, raising a number of questions. And what are the challenges do you think dual responsibility might create? That's a group task that we're not going to do, because we're beyond that point, actually. Think about your professional role, and are there tensions between your teacher role and your specialist subject? In all honesty, I have never met that. I've not, mainly because I think the people like me came from the same background, which was an engineering background. And I think one of the things that is vitally important, both in teaching and in say, an engineering background, is quality. you can't get away with poor quality in manufacturing something. It just wouldn't work. You'd never sell it. So it's got to be right. And I think that attitude of making sure it's right crosses over. And I don't think there's a conflict between the two roles at all. Right, so right. Looking at legislation linked to equality and diversity, 65 the Race Relations Act came in, 75 Sex Discrimination Act, 95 Disability Discrimination Act. Every time I read that, I can't believe it was only 1995 when that was put in. Yeah, it's not very long ago, is it? And 2010, the Equalities Act, designed to enhance and improve the status of all groups who may experience discrimination. And that is 2010. That included then old codgers like me, because I can go back to 2009, the year before it actually came in. But the college I was working for finished my contract at 65 because that was their policy. They didn't contract with anybody over retirement age. They can no longer do that. The 2010 Act stopped that happening. So maybe if it had been a year later, I'd still be working there, heaven forbid. But yeah, these are the things that have impact on what we do. Stop jumping about. What's up with you? Yeah, that's better. There are a number of reports that have gone in, new ways of working with students with disabilities to transform lives and expectations in 78, and the Tomlinson report in 96, which centred on the vision for further education, a system that would respond to learners' requirements. Now, in a lot of cases, and this is a personal point of view now, you may disagree with it, I don't know, that the closing of special schools for SEN learners, I think has been a bit of a disaster. Certain students with special educational needs will work in mainstream education with very little resource needed in addition to what they're already getting. But there are levels within SEN, and what they did, they made a wholesale job of it instead of making sure that the ones that needed to be separate weren't. And it's only now, certainly in the last 5 years, that they've started to move back to that again now, because they've realised it was not, it wasn't fair to some of them, and it was in fact discriminating against them rather than for them. But that's the way I read it from a political point of view, anyway. Yeah, organisation structures show race on the red card, end race and this generation. Stop jumping. Inspiring action to tackle racial equality, and how does your organisation promote achievement in and equality? It's up to managers or teachers to promote equality, and is this part of your professional role? I would say yes, it is, but from what I've just said previously, there is a level or a certain point at which you need to differentiate. Yeah. So, a task. I can state the roles and responsibilities of senior managers in developing effective practice. I understand the process of policy implementation within my role within it, and I am aware of my individual responsibilities as a tutor. Yeah. I am confident, or I need to develop. That's something for you to look at from your own point of view. And this is why I said in this unit, if you've got company policies and procedures that you can get your hands on, or copies of them, or even a synopsis of them, you can talk about those and where you fit into that. within your particular organisation. And it will save a lot of explanation, if you like. Oops, where have we gone? Research theory types of communication as listed below. Now you'll have just done that in Unit 3, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at communications of non-verbal, verbal, etc. on there, so we don't need to go any further with that one. I can close that down. Yeah. So going back to the, I've got it over here, I'm sorry. The information on here is looking at the ebook and explaining in response from one point on an example of your own area of teaching. Those two particular learning objectives should be fairly straightforward to maintain. It's asking for a definition and an explanation, yeah? It's not asking for, where have you gone? Where's everybody gone? Oh, you're back again. I must have clicked on something there that I've missed. Yeah, going back to that one. So this is the, as I said, same as Unit 3 on the event. Looking at the unit aim itself, there are no essential resources for this unit, but then the amplification just sets out some ideas for you. Yeah. Your autonomy, code of practice, what you do, concepts of leadership, professional recognition, higher qualifications, dual professionalism, e.g. your own specialist area, plus any specialist teaching, membership of any professional bodies. Institute for Learning is mentioned on there, which has it more, I've not been involved with that for some time now. Did it morph into something else?
I think it did.
Yeah, the IFL was originally brought out, and it was not very well received by teachers in terms of, it was a bit draconian the way it was written, in terms of if you don't do this, that'll happen. If you don't do this, that'll happen. It was it was laughed at basically by the teaching unions, and it's had, I think it's about 5 years of modification in terms of now, which is, it's got another name. I'm not sure what it is now, or whether it still is that. But anyway, it has certainly morphed into. So on this second part of the second AC, it's looking at the impact of professional values, meeting organisational policies and procedures, audits of competence, promoting quality in teaching and learning, an expectation for high standards, and establishing and sharing best practice. Now, sometimes those things can come into conflict. If you've got high expectations for learners, best practice is not always to push too hard. A lot of the awarding bodies now have been asked to follow university standards and have gradings, yeah? So you've got pass, merit and distinction. It would be unfair with some learners to push them to get a merit or distinction if you don't think they're capable for whatever reason. The time then is to discuss it with them and go through the process with them of what the additional work they would have to do for a merit or a distinction, and ask them basically, is it something they wish to do, or whether they just want to go for the pass on that particular unit. And if you go through that process, I think that's the fairest way of expectation of high standards, because I've found that language can be a problem with some learners, and it will be unfair to differentiate between those learners because they've got a language difficulty. It would make it's a lot easier to go with them and say, well, Lou, this is what you would be expected to do for that. Could you do that? And if the answer is I'm not sure or I don't think so, I would prefer to just go through that pathway. Then I say that's okay, we work that way, and that's what you can achieve. Thankfully, this qualification is not graded. It's pass or achieve or not yet achieve. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we work through the process until we've got achievement right the way through. So I am not going to go into the second learning objective in this one because there is quite a bit of work in that in the first two on that. Some of which you may be able to draw from. If I just go to here. You may be able to use some of the values that influence your own practice from Unit 3. If you look on there may be sections in there. You can either refer to it or copy and paste a piece of it in. Explain, you know, in Unit 3 I covered this and this is what I said. So that is the bit I wanted to cover on there. Have you got any questions about that?
No.
No.
You're happy with what's required for that first learning objective, yeah?
I've sent my first two over to you, haven't I?
Yeah, I've not looked at them yet, have I? When did I get those?
Last week.
Yeah? Oh, right. Well, in that case, I should have sent them back. So quick look, just a sec. Make sure I've got them. Then. Unit 3, Unit 1. I've not got anything for Unit 4. Yeah?
Right. Sorry, I thought I'd sent it.
Oh, right, okay. I'll just have a quick check, but I don't think I have. Either one of those, come on, open. Come on. So quick look at that one. Oh, there we are. Right, yours is deeper. Ben, here we are. So,
Oh yeah, there it is. No, that was the other one. It was a bit further down.
Oh, right, I'm not back. Where have you gone?
About 5 lower than where it's highlighted.
Right. About 5 further down.
There it is.
Deeper.
One more. That's it.
Here we are, yeah. Unit 4, 1 and 2. I have missed that. Yeah, sorry about that. I will pick that up and send it you straight back. I'll look at that tonight. Yeah, and I'll look at yours as well, Deeper.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pick that up later on. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, I know why it was now. Okay. Right. If there are no questions, I'm going to close up at that. I'll stop recording a minute.